All right. I believe the call is being recorded now. Okay, so I was saying that we could what I want us to work on is the project I want us to work on is it's a sales data set, all right, and so we'll be building it from scratch, which is creating our data model, right? Very, very important. So for every sales or for every sales analysis or for every data you'll be uploading to Power Query, you know, when you look at the data set, if it's something that is just a flat Excel sheet, you can break it into tables for effective analysis. So as your data set becomes, as your database grows, right, there will be need for you to create a data model. All right. So this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to load, and let me check for, I think it's here. All right. So the first thing you want to do is to come over to your home tab in Power BI desktop, so that so the files, so Power BI offers different connectors to several files: Excel workbook, Power BI semantic models, data flows, SQL Server, text CSV file. So the file we're working with today is an Excel file, all right? So I'm going to open it, and this is the data set, okay? All right, so I'm going to load it into, I'm going to transform it, okay? So this is what I have, all right? All right, so the next thing I want to do, like I mentioned earlier on, we have the data set already in view. So I've duplicated it already, so you can do that from your end. So we look at the data set, all right? This is a sales data set that has different retailers, all right, for different products. And then there's a retailer ID link, all right? There's an invoice date, there's a region, there is state, there is city, product, the kind of products that are being sold. We also have the unit price, we also have units sold, the quantity sold, then we have total sales, we have operating profit, we have operating margin, right? And then we have sales method, okay? Let me delete this. All right, so like I was saying, so in creating a star schema, right, the essence of creating a star schema is so that we can have effective analysis, creating a data model. So like I mentioned, as your database or as your data in your table keeps increasing, it becomes more complex and more complex and complex. So there's a need for you to have a data model, for effective analysis, to also store your data. All right. So this is the initial table I loaded into Power Query. So and I want to break this table into, because we just have one flat Excel sheet, so I want to break it into different dimension tables, like we've been doing, like we've been using all along the class. All right. So what's the difference between the fact table and the dimension table? Right. So the fact table, it contains measurements, facts or metrics of the attributes. All right. And sometimes they hold no meaning to itself. So in some, for example, now if you take a look at unit price now, this is a metric or it's a fact, but it doesn't really have meaning. Price per unit 50. In context, what does 50 mean? All right. So it's our dimension table that gives context to this unit price now or this unit sold. So I will break it down in such a way that we'll just have metrics in our fact table. You can as well leave some of these value, some of these attributes or columns in your fact table. All right. So, and the fact table contains, unique identifiers to identify each row or entry of data. All right. Unlike the dimension table, the dimension table gives context to facts, it has primary key that is referenced by the fact table. So the dimension table describes your data. All right. So if I walk up to you and say, hey, Priscilla or Matthias, we had $3 million in sales last month. Okay, I believe that the next question you want to ask is from where or how, by who, how did we make $3 million sales, right? By which month or by which product category, which product gave us that sales? So that's where the dimension table comes in. So the dimension table, they answer questions such as the what, the how, the when. So when did we make $3 billion sales? That's you're not talking about your date or your by time series analysis. When, who gave us that $3 million sales, which customer, which segment, which product. All right. So those are just things that we can do with the dimension table. So I'm going to break it into different tables, all right, and then link them up with a primary key. So this is my fact table. I've duplicated it. I'm going to duplicate it again. I'm going to duplicate it again. All right. And I'll duplicate it again. So this is my fact table. And I come here to rename it product. So this will contain all my information about my products. All right, all the information about my products. If I click OK or enter key. All right, so this is what I'm going to do now. So my mouse is on my product key. So I will only include information that pertains to product. All right, so take a look at the data set now. If you look at it, we have retailer, we have ID, we have the invoice date that every transaction was made, we have the region where the transaction occurred from, product, price per unit sold, and the likes. All right, so this is what I'm going to do now. So the information that pertains to product in this data set is the product name, right? So I'm going to come over to this choose column, all right, and I'll click on choose column. This choose column tab, I'll click on choose column. So this is what I have here. I'm going to unselect everything. I'm creating a table now called product. So I'm interested in only the product. All right. I'm interested in only the product. So I'll click it. So we have the product table does not have any relationship with the retailer, the invoice, the region, the state, city, unit price, and the likes, sales method. This is just product. All right. Is there a category here? I don't think there's a category here. City, unit, sold, total. Okay. So I click on OK. Yeah, so if you come over to the right pane of these applied steps, you can see source, navigation, promoted headers. By default, once we load our data set into Power Query, these three things appear here. Change type. I change the type. I've not yet. Okay, I filtered rows and removed other columns. So this step just came here. All right. So I can get rid of it, and it will give me all of the columns that were in this data set. All right. So just to go over it again, choose columns. I'm creating a product table now. I unselect everything and click on only product. All right. So you see these applied steps here. So you can undo and redo what you just did. All right. So the next thing I want to do is, because one of the attributes of the dimension table, and if you can recall the introductory class that we had in Power BI, I think the one Mr. Daniel handled, he made mention. I think he made mention about the uniqueness of the dimension tables. The dimension tables, all right, they contain unique entries. All right, in the dimension table, all the values in the dimension table, they have to be linked up to the fact table with a primary key, and that primary key is 100% unique. So that means we don't have recurring transactions, because we want to, or recurring data entries, because we want to filter, or we want to filter or describe our fact table using the dimension tables. So what I mean is that you can see men's street footwear, men's street. These are the types of products. All right. So we don't want to see all of this reappearing twice. It's 100% unique in the dimension tables. Unlike the fact table that you can have several entries, one person can make transactions in a day 6 times. I just gave an example before. You can purchase airtime from any network service, MTN, Airtel, like 4 times a day. Those are 4 transactions that has entered, that you've made. Those ones can be found in the fact table. All right. So in the fact table, you must have the lowest level of granularity, the lowest level of granularity. Yes, right. Yes. So it must be very detailed, right, for you to carry out your analysis. So I'm going to remove duplicates here. That's the next step. I've removed other columns. The next step I'm going to do is to remove duplicates. So I'm going to come over here to remove duplicates. This is how you create your stat schema. All right. So so you can see remove duplicates here. So if you look at it, if I click on it now, it's going to remove duplicates. So these are only products we have in our table. If I click on activate this filter here, you see men's apparel, men's athletic footwear. Remember, this Adidas data set. We have men's street footwear, women's apparel, women's athletic footwear. So there's nothing reoccurring here. It must be unique. Okay. So I click on OK. So now, the next thing I want to do in this table I'm creating, okay, is to create a primary key. And what does the primary key do? A primary key is 100% unique. All right. It helps us to be able to, it's a unique identifier, all right, that is assigned to every data entry within a table. Okay, it's a unique identifier that is assigned to every entry within a table. So I'm going to create a unique identity here. To do that, I'm going over to add columns. So under add columns, you see conditional columns, index column, duplicate column. So most of the time, the data set can come with a product ID. Like the data set we've been using throughout the class, it came with product ID. All right, it's unique. So every transaction, every entry in the table has just one unique identifier. In some cases, when you don't have like this now, we don't have. So if I go back to my fact table, if you look at it, we don't have anything like product ID. What we have is retailer ID, and this is not even unique. All right, so we only have invoice, region, state. There's nothing like product ID or anything, because we want to. It's just like in Excel, a lookup when you're looking up a value in your Excel sheet from one maybe sheet to another sheet. there must be a unique ID. And sometimes, if you look at those data sets that you worked on, probably employee ID, they are always unique, 100% unique. So you can look up another attribute of that entity in another sheet or another column or another table. So it's just that unique. So I'll give an example. Your name is not even unique to you, because if you are an employee in a company, someone like which name? Okay, let's say Beverly Daniel. Now you can have Beverly Daniel, that name, someone bearing it, a male bearing it. All right, so it's not unique to you. Even both of you could have the same date of birth, the same day, the same year, the same gender. So what actually makes both of you unique? The same job role, the same salary. All right, the same start date, the same end date, the same number of children. So there's no uniqueness there yet. So there must be an identifier that will make you unique. All right. So in this case, we want to create one now, since our data set didn't come with that. All right. So click on index colon here. So you have the option you have the option of creating it from 0, from 1, or custom, depending on how you want to customize your index, your primary key. But for this, we'll use 1 because it's just unique, 1 to 0. You can start from 0, but I prefer to use 1. So it's based on preference here, or custom. All right, so we'll go with from 1. Okay. So you can see so you can see this step here, applied step, added index. All right, we've created one. We've created another index here. So you see, to apply it, we can undo it and redo it. So the next thing I want to do is to rename it. All right, so I can rename it here and call this customer ID. So this is how you build your star schema, customer ID. Okay. I click on OK. You can see another applied step here, renamed colon. So I want to reorder it, take it to the left just for arrangement. So you can see another applied step here. So I've created a product table, and this is a dimension table. All right, this is a dimension table. So the next thing I want to do is to create from our data set here. So you can, so now this is where it's based on preference. All right, you can decide to break your table into different facts table depending on what you want. All right. So it's based on preference here. All right. So if you look at it, if you understand the data structure, you can see we can break it into different tables. We have invoice date here. So if we want to, if we want to filter into our fact table, remember I said the fact table, the fact table contains metric, unlike the dimension tables. They answer the questions of what, who, when, why, those questions. So if you want, like I mentioned, we made total sales of this product. You can ask, when did we make it? All right, for us to answer those questions, you can create a date table. So we have an opportunity to create a date table here. So since we have our invoice date, location, we have region here. Retailer, so these are different retailers. We have in business or in marketing, we have wholesale, we have retailers, and we have I think there's another one. There's so many for those that understand it very well. So these are retailers that market or sell this product. So we want if so we can create a table now using this retailer information we have. All right. So the next thing I'll do, I come over to this table, I rename it my retail table. So I can just call it retailer. So this is a dimension table I'm creating. Click on enter. All right. So the next thing I'll do again, all right, is to create another yes, to select the columns that we'll need inside the data, inside this table. So the next thing I'll do is to come over to go to my home tab, okay. Choose colons, right? I choose colon. You know why I'm choosing colons? Because we're not interested in any of this. Unit price does not pertain or contain to retailer. It does not, the attributes does not align with retailer operating margin. I'm just interested in just the retailer name. So that's why I come over to my choose colons, right? So I choose colons, and then I want select this checkbox here and select the only colon I want or attribute I need in this table. So in this case, I'm interested in my retailer, right? I can also click on retailer ID, invoice date. I will create this separately: state, region, city, product, price per unit. All of this will be found in our fact table: operating profit, operating margin, sales method. Yes, they'll be found in our fact table. So I'm just interested in these two information. Okay, so this is it. All right, so I think I skipped a point. So I'm going back to my product table. So this is what I want to do. So now I've created a customer ID. All right, so this is the next thing I'm going to do. Now if I go back to my fact table, for each, there can be duplicates here. So let's look at it. Let's have a look at it. So now see, in the first entry of this data set, we have the retailer Foot Locker with this retail ID, 1185732. 1st January 2020. This transaction was, it occurred from the region Northeast, in the state New York, and in the city New York, rather, state New York, city New York. Product, this particular product, Main Street Footwear, 50 unit price, unit sold, 1, 2, and like this and like that. Okay. So now take a look at something. These are unique, these are reoccurring multiple occurrences that have the same entry. These first two rows, Northeast, if you take a look down, except for profit margin that had a different, probably the sales they made was, okay, this way differed here, the unit sold, right? So in order for us to be able to link our product table to the fact table is through the primary key. All right, so the primary key is in the in the dimension table that contains unique entries. Just look at it, them, they are 100% unique. And then we'll link it to the fact table so that when we these techniques will enable us, understand, to slice our data or to filter into the fact table on an aggregated level. So this unique ID one can go over, once we connect it to our fact table, this unique ID one, it will go over to the fact table and aggregate all the entries that has that same unique ID one. So we can have that unique ID one occurring multiple times here. Let's say this data set is, I think this data set is about 6,000 rows. So for that unique ID alone, one, it can have multiple occurrences in the fact table, let's say up to 1,000 times, or let's say 600 times out of 6,000, or maybe 48 times. So just that one unique ID, we're able to aggregate all of those entries. But now, if you take a look at the fact table, there is no product ID. So we can't even filter our fact table. So what I'm trying to say is that we would need to create a link between between the fact table and the product table using the primary key and then the foreign key. All right, so just to go over again, the primary key and the foreign key, they are both their database concepts used to uniquely identify and link records across different tables. All right, so every table actually has a primary key, should have a primary key. All right, and they must be unique. All right, so this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to merge this product, this customer ID to the fact table. I'll go to my fact table. All right, I'm going to come to these tabs up here and click on merge query. When I click on merge query, this is what's going to happen. Now pay close attention. All right, so this is what I want to do. Pay close attention because it's a bit tricky. It will take time to understand. So I want to link my product, this attribute, to the product in the fact table. So I'm going to click on this is the merge query here. Select a table and match in colon to create a merge table. So I'm going to click on this. All right, and I'll come over to this box here. Click on the drop down. You can see it's asking me which table do you want to link with. I'm interested in the product table because I want to link my product table to the fact table. All right, the fact table is where we have. So I want to create a relationship in our fact table. Remember, fact table contains many occurrences, unlike the dimension table is unique. That's where that terminology comes in, one to many. All right, so I click on this product. So I'm linking this product to this product. All right, so you see the selection matches 9,648 of 9,648 rows from the first table. Okay, so I've linked this both of them together. I'm not done yet, so I'll click on OK. This must select this green thing, this green check mark must be highlighted here. So I click on select OK. And if you observe, it creates another table, another column here. So what I've just done is that I've linked the table, the fact table, to the product table. But I'm not done yet. I want to link it up with the primary key. So I click on this box here, and to show me what is in the product table. You see, so this what it means is that how do you want to connect your product table to the fact table based on what? Remember the primary key. So I need to create a primary key. I've created a primary key already. So I want to create a foreign key now, which is in the fact table. So I'm going to unselect this. What this means is that link the fact table with this primary key in the product table. I click on customer ID. All right, I can uncheck this because it's going to rename this column. I want to rename it with what I want. So if I click on OK, you see I've created a foreign key here in the fact table. And take a look. Hello, can you hear me? Okay, I think I was logged out. Sorry about that. I will call it a day here so that we can join in the other call. All right. We'll continue during the week. We'll continue during and we'll see how we can. I'll go over all of this again so that for just for clarity's sake. I hope we got something. See, let me stop sharing. All right, so just join the call and we'll go over it again during the week. Go over it again during the week and I'll explain it better. All right. So, okay, bye for now. All right. I'll end the call now. Just sign the attendance.